The allegations of oil theft making the rounds now. Of course, you also did get some part of it earlier this week. This time, we're joined by Mr. Callistos Obi, who is the Executive Director, Maritime, Labour and Cabotage Services of Nimasa. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you very much.
All right, and yes, former Minister of Interior was here, Mr. Iheanacho, Captain Iheanacho, and he spoke about what was going on. But from your perspective, what is this allegation of oil theft? Give us a background.
Yeah, let me start by saying that it's not strange when people come, particularly when they feel they're influential, they come on air to try to paint people who have statutory obligations to do their jobs. Frankly, as an agency, what we're concerned about is to do our statutory duties. It's not a law about Iheanacho or any other person for that matter. It's about getting the job done. In this case, there was security alert in relation to a hijack of an international vessel, a Panamanian flagged ship off Lome, Anchorage. So we had to track it. In the course of tracking it, we discovered that there was actually a hijack. And these things have international dimension. Nigeria's image is at stake, and the job has to be done for the interest of the nation. So we're able to track it. Along the line, a particular vessel owned by a Nigerian but registered in Togo there was a transshipment of the cargo, and at the end of the process, it was traced to the tank farm of Integrated Oil. So we had to do our job because there is a chain. It's a chain thing. If there is no seller, definitely if there's no buyer, there won't be a seller. Or sorry, if there's no seller, there won't be a buyer. So for us to do our job effectively, we had to track the entire process to know the people, the cartel behind this continuous assault on our waterways. We could have stopped it midway in the course of the investigation, but because we wanted to do a holistic job of it, we had to trace it to those who are recipients of this stolen cargo.
If you allow me come in here, because on that day, that's Monday, Captain Iheanacho also said, well, before they received the product in his tank farm, because I think they actually rented the tank farm to this individual or this company that brought this product now. Now we can now say this product was hijacked according to what we're getting from you. Is that they brought documents supporting giving some kind of legal backing to that particular product they brought to the tank farm, and one of the documents they brought to him was a Nimasa document.
You see, I told you it was based on investigation. As a matter of fact, there were procedural discrepancies on the face of the documents that we saw. So we have this problem, whether to stop at the stage of clearance by Nimasa or to strategically give clearance for purposes of tracing the cargo to the recipient. So what we did at the stage where we saw the documents, when they wanted Nimasa clearance, was to allow it. We deliberately cleared it. Because if we had refused clearance at that stage, it would have alerted the people, and we probably would not have traced the end user.
Okay. By the time they came to Nimasa,
yeah,
the ship was still coming. It hasn't berthed. So with the product, the hijacked product,
Yeah.
So that was when you deliberately gave them the
I told you
clearance.
there were discrepancies. As a matter of fact, the product had already been stored in the tank farm of integrated oil before they went about the clearance of it, which was wrong ab initio. For you to be allowed to store your product, you must, at the very inception of seeking for clearance from the Navy, disclose where the products will be stored. In this case, they had already stored the product and then sought clearance. And when we saw it, we felt it was necessary for us to get to the root of the matter, to know those who were receiving it. So we merely allowed it to go as a strategic approach to it.
Now, this story is a little complicated. What I got initially was that something was, some oil was hijacked on the high seas, brought to Nigeria's coast, got clearance, was duly cleared by the agencies responsible for clearance, and it seems that you were saying that you allowed clearance for the purpose of wanting to know where it will be stored.
Precisely.
Am I getting you correctly?
Precisely.
But now you're saying that they had already passed, they had even gone ahead to store their products, and that you only gave them, they only came back to get clearance from you, and which was wrong,
Yes.
but you still gave it to them only so you can proceed with the investigation. Which one of them is the correct procedure? Was it that they had already gone ahead to store, or they were on their way to storage with integrated oil when you give them clearance for it?
Procedurally, you were expected to get the clearance at the point of submission of application for clearance. You are expected to disclose the storage facility. So in this case, they had already stored.
So the ship must know where it is going to store. It must have a very clear idea of where it intends to go.
And adequate notice must be given to whoever is going to store.
Okay.
In this case, they had stored already and now came to us for clearance. We had the option of picking them up at that point.
But how did they get through the waters? One would have thought that, you know, before you even proceed, there is some sort of stoppage point where you must submit certain documents or you must declare certain cargo before you proceed. I don't know how it works. I'm just asking.
Yeah, that's precisely what we're talking about. There are lots of, you know, unwholesome acts in our waterways. That's precisely what we're trying to check.
Okay. But from a layman's perspective, for those who may be wondering, because some will be lost on this, they ask, if I already stored the product and for some reason I didn't go through any of the process, assuming without conceding that that's what happened, and then I come back for clearance, doesn't it mean that I'm legit? Because if I were a criminal, why would I come back if I store and I wasn't apprehended? How does it work?
If the law says you should get clearance before storage, that is the position of the law. If you do otherwise, you would have been seen to have contravened the law. This is an industry that is regulated, and it is done for purposes of transparency. They are also security related.